I have very much huge thanks to give to the San Francisco Public Library. In particular, I'd love to give a thank you to Fran and Michelle with the library for like ferrying us through this whole adventure with tech for these many, many months. So a huge thank you to you all. I would also like to acknowledge that the San Francisco Public Library and Mime Troupe Studio are on the ancestral lands of the Ohlone people, and to tie our work to the guaranteeing of sovereignty to Indigenous peoples everywhere. So first acknowledgement of that, I invite you all watching to post in the chat what Indigenous land you are on, so that you can see kind of where people are coming from. So without further ado, I would love to introduce our whole team. So if our Mime Troopers, you could come in and turn your videos back on and say hello to our audience today. Oh my goodness, it's so wonderful to see you all this Halloween. We have like a nice big crew today. Folks who've worked on so many different parts of the production. And so when I go ahead and introduce you all, if you could just tell us your name and the role that you played on the production. So how about we get on started with Marie?
Hi, I'm Marie Cartier, she, her, hers. I'm in the Mime Troupe Collective. I wrote all the commercials for all the episodes, and I was also Becky with an I in the Girl Moments commercials.
Thank you, Marie. How about Michael J. Asberry?
Hi, my name is Michael J. Asberry. I played the Gravekeeper in 3 of the episodes, and I'm so thrilled and excited to have been a part of it.
Thank you, Michael. Mm-hmm. How about Marissa?
Hi, I'm Marissa Ellison, she, her, hers. I was the booking manager for this, so I had the exciting task of getting us on the radio. And I had the opportunity to voice act. I played Ellie with a Y in the commercials.
Thank you, Marissa. How about Cassie?
Hi, I'm Cassie Grilley, she, her, hers. I played Claudia in this production. It was super fun.
Excellent. Welcome, Cassie.
Hey.
Michael and Velina.
Hi, I'm Velina Brown. I'm a collective member. I directed the series and I played Amandla.
I'm Michael Sullivan, he, him, his. I wrote the episodes and I played Jade and some other folks.
Thank you, Velina and Michael. Ellen.
Hi, I'm Ellen Callas, she, her, hers, collective member, wrote a Susie Terse episode, played Little Jimmy, and also had the general management.
Thank you, Ellen. Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen. I'm the stage manager with the Mime Troupe, and I go with pronouns she, her, hers. And I basically just wrangle all these people to be in a virtual room together.
Excellent, excellent. Jarion. If we can.
Hi, yeah, I had to unmute there. I'm Jarion. I played Chip Bonzo. He, him, his.
Excellent, thank you. Taylor Gonzalez.
Hi, I'm Taylor Gonzalez. I'm a collective member with the Mime Troupe, and I was the lead audio engineer and sound designer for this whole project. It was an amazing experience. Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Yes.
And I go by he, his.
Perfect, thank you. And then you see all that admiration there for a ton of work. Brian.
I am Brian Rivera, and I played a Primo throughout the series.
Thank you, Brian. Daniel.
Hi, I'm Daniel Savio, and I am a collective member. I have he, him, his pronouns, and I wrote the lyrics and music for the series, including all of the jingles and commercials, and with the assistance of my cousin Jeremy Mage, also the San Francisco Mime Troupe theme that we heard in the final episode.
Great, and we're actually going to play that in just a moment, so y'all will all get a chance to hear it. We're excited. And Dylan.
Where is Dylan?
Dylan is on video. Might be free. Okay, we'll give Dylan a moment, and in the meantime, let's go ahead and hear that theme. We will be giving you all a chance to share some questions. So if you want to start putting those in the chat now, we'll get to them. I'll start by asking some questions, and then you can essentially and then I'll ask your questions that you put in the chat in just a moment. So I think, is Dylan able to, can we get Dylan's video first?
Yeah.
He says that you have to enable his camera.
Oh, I have to. Okay.
You're the host.
There he is.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm doing Jennings, he, him, his, and I did all the woodwinds for the show.
Look how long your hair is too. Holy moly.
Can't see my barber right now.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh. Yeah, some of us definitely got our quarantine hair going on.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. So I'm excited to share with you this theme right now. Here we go.
We're revolutionaries raising our voice. Bombastic slapstick is our weapon of choice. We always draw a crowd. We're red and hot and proud. Silent no, hell loud. The San Francisco Mime Troupe. A collective with a socialist objective. We put things in perspective with 60 years of free shows in the parks. Sci-fi to detective, satire to invective, tragedy and farce. We fought the man with every show, took a shot at old Jim Crow, and made the hippie heads go pop with madcap agitprop. The bourgeois made a scene, claimed we were obscene, and had us hauled up by the cops.
Now that was 2 shows before that. This is ahistorical.
We're revolutionaries raising our voice. Subversive verse is our weapon of choice. We always draw a crowd. We're red and hot and proud. Silent no, hell loud. The San Francisco Mime Troupe. A tradition. July 4th in the mission. Actors and musicians build our stage and leave without a trace. Words for ammunition. We serve politicians. Egg on their face. Don't be hopey, changey, drony. We're not scared to call out phonies. And we even got a Tony. Isn't it sublime? A new play every year. A treat for eyes and ears. Cause we're not that kind of mind. No, we're not that kind of mind. Favorite show?
Well, heck if I know.
Maybe Freedom Land or something with back wino. Eating it or 1600 Transylvania Ave.
I like the red state and possibilidad.
Steel Town was built to last.
Treasure Island's a treasure.
I saw seeing double twice and twice more motion vision.
And the costumes, Dragon Lady, Armageddon Man, the incredible transforming sets, the puppetry of We're revolutionaries raising our voice. Serious comedy, our weapon of choice. We always draw a crowd. Yeah! We're red and hot and proud. Yeah! Silent no, hell loud. Yeah! The San Francisco Mime Troupe.
All right. Yes. Big
That's what
kudos
we've
to
been doing
that.
for the last 3 days. God.
And a really big shout out to Dylan, who put in all of the woodwinds on that in like 1 take each, and you can hear some amazing stuff in there.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Thanks, Dylan.
Thank you, Dylan. Yeah, do you mind telling us a bit about how that theme came to be and like and your work on that? Daniel, start.
It came to be way faster than I would ever imagine possible. And especially given, I think, the incredible quality that my cousin gave it, Jeremy. who lives in Switzerland and is, I really hope, asleep right now. Put in an extraordinary amount of work over the last couple of days, finishing everything. There were contributions from many people, all the voices you hear, many musicians, Dylan, trumpet player, Deborah Del Mastro, Liberty Ellman playing guitar, who's in New York, Dred Scott, who is also in New York, adding additional live drums to the production, and the voice of my nephew, Elio, who is contributing his bit to it as well.
Amazing. I'm curious for on the musical side of things, if there's anything you've learned from this process of working digitally or working like remotely and all of us in separate places that you would take to making music in person.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, for one thing, I think the use of technology in music has just expanded enormously over the years. I mean, the years that I've been doing music, let alone the decades. And I think now that I've gotten sort of been forced by circumstances to employ it more, I can probably see myself employing it more on stage as well. Whereas compared to some former Mime Troupe musicians, I don't mostly use computer technology in my performance, at least not thus far.
Yeah, it's interesting of like us being in the parks, like we're used to like doing it very like, I don't know, we are involved with tech, but we're doing it I don't know. Yeah, we want to keep it simple because we have to build the whole set every time. So it's neat that we're able to do some cool digital things this time around. Yeah. Now is a question I'm really excited for. I would love to hear from folks who are willing to share, have some ideas of a favorite moment you had of working on this project, or a moment from the show itself that you're really proud of. So if you have one of those, you can raise a little hand or put it in the chat, and I'll give you a call to share with us. Yeah, Taylor.
My favorite episode so far has been this last one we just worked on, even though I basically stayed up for 3 days straight getting it together. But my favorite moment from it is actually the credits that we all individually recorded. And it's something that I haven't really heard before or seen before in any other production, and it really just like it gave it a depth that I never expected. Once I started putting it all together and hearing all the voices, it was a really special moment for me, as well as the theme. And so kind of just this last episode as a whole really kind of just brought it all together and kind of brought that same feeling that I get whenever we close a summer production as well. But yeah.
Yeah, I started tearing up when I heard that as well, because it's like all of us artists are kind of in our separate cocooned worlds in a way, trying to connect in this online world, and that the credits were just kind of this beautiful like epitome of like, wow, we've been in this together for months. So
many months, yes.
That's definitely beautiful to hear. I saw Marie had a moment to contribute.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Mime Troupe theme also gives that impression like we're all in the same place, and I got kind of like teary when I heard it because I was like, oh yeah, that does kind of sound like what it is like to be in the Mime Troupe when we were all together. So I thought that captured it. How there's the little vocals that like, no, that was a couple shows ago, and that kind of detail was nice. I have a specific memory of just doing the commercials, and like Brian had to say this line that was like, Hugby has no orifices and should not be used for sex. And it took him so many times, and he had to do it in like the pharmaceutical disclaimer voice, and it took him so many tries to do it without cracking up. And it was just like, it's just nice to have those moments in rehearsal. We're all so isolated. It'd just be like, yeah, that is an absurd thing to say. And he did eventually say it. Very
Eventually.
eloquently, but it took a lot of tries.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Brian, did you have a moment that you'd want to add?
I mean, there's so many. I can't really pick one, I guess. But like, remember the first time I heard Jarion do his Chip Bonzo voice? I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
I got a kick out of it every time he spoke. But yeah, there's so many.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, months. I didn't realize like this last week or so. Like, wow, for the most, a great majority of this year, we've been thankfully, working together separately. But yeah.
Together separately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I see Daniel has something to add.
Well, I'm sure I could pick out a moment from every single episode, but in the final one, which is still incredibly present in my mind, and I don't want to give this away, so I'm not going to say a lot of detail about the moment, but there's something, there's a little bit we hear from Hugo Carbajal, who is not here with us right now, that really when we added the sound effects and put in all of the effort into making it sound just right, reminds me of my father from 1964. Not that I was there, but when people hear the show, I think they'll hear what I'm talking about.
Amazing. Any other magical moments? Yeah, go ahead, Cassie.
I really loved the last couple of episodes because we were all able to kind of collectively be together in the episode, and it was so fun, like, because I know like the episodes that I was in, I was with like specific people, so it was really fun to kind of have everyone in the Discord and like hearing how everything is tying up within each storyline, and that I thought that was really fun and cool.
It's our crossover event.
Right.
I got one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, this is completely silly, but what came to my mind immediately was one day when Lizzie was really excited to show everybody her recording setup. And so she took us into her closet where all of her clothes were hanging and how she engineered it with her special mic. And it cracked me up because it just seemed like this is so funny, but we're doing this together. But we've all created these little booths in our homes, our little worlds, and still sharing it with each other. It's been a trip. It's been a lifesaver, actually.
Yeah, making art during these times, just like for those of us who are used to it, we need it. And for people in the audience who might not know, Cassie mentioned Discord, and that was the platform which we were recording this whole thing. And Discord is usually I think of it as something that's often used for video gaming and kind of different chatting. And it's an entirely audio medium if you want it to be. And so it's interesting for us to be seeing each other on video, and kind of having us all gathered on video is kind of a different experience of how we usually work. So it's nice to be having that. And when we're on video, yeah, that's when you get kind of these interesting glimpses into people's lives of our different living spaces. And we're bringing our home into art making, which is something that's I think kind of cool for artists these days. Oh, I see Marissa has something to add.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of what you just said and what Ellen mentioned earlier, there was also a day where it was Lizzie's daughter's birthday. And so we all sang happy birthday together on Discord, and it was pretty horrendous, but it was also fantastic. And that's one of my favorite memories.
That's great. I saw like I don't know if y'all know the Neo Futurists in San Francisco, a very fun like theater group here, who did a event that was like they had a scene that was trying to create the lag that you get on Zoom and these other platforms when you're trying to record audio, and they intentionally like just had us delve into it and all repeat things and speak all over each other. And so it was an adventure, but that's sometimes what if you're not coordinated recording online. That's what I'm picturing that happy birthday weather sounded like.
Really? it's like the motto of the Zoom. No, go ahead. No. Oh, sorry. No,
go ahead. No, you first. Go.
Sorry, go ahead. No, you go first.
Right, exactly. I wanted to ask Marissa, can you tell us a little bit about some of the radio shows that around the country that or the radio channels that played our broadcasts? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So locally in San Francisco, we had the marvelous support of KSFP and San Francisco Public Press, who have been one of our home stations from the beginning and offered us a lot of support. In San Francisco, we've also been on KALW, who has a wonderful Corona radio theater program every week. So they've also been wonderful incorporating us into that, as well as stations in Mendocino County, stations in Redwood City. We've also had people in Oregon, as well as a wonderful station in Washington, D.C., which is a labor station. And they also welcomed us into the Labor Radio Podcast Network, which is a community of people who have radio stations focused on talking about labor, as well as podcasts specifically talking about that. So we fit right in there with them. As well as some stations as well in Fort Bragg, Cupertino, Round Mountain, Davis. We have a station in New Mexico as well. So it's been really marvelous seeing how this one show can reach so many people, and as well as other locations that we don't even really know about too. So it definitely helps us broaden our audience. And it's been great to hear that people everywhere have been enjoying the shows.
That's really cool. And earlier we had as a guest Steve Zeltzer, who does was part of that radio network around labor. So it's been cool to be able to link up some of the episodes to some of the folks who are who are making content, making stuff happen in this world.
Yeah.
So, thanks for that. I have a question for Michael and Ellen about writing, and I'm curious how you found working in kind of the radio show medium. I know you listened to some shows beforehand. What was easy? What was like a strength that you felt that was like really that was easy to work with for radio? And what were some of the challenges of working with radio plays as a form?
Well, I've been a fan of radio shows, just old, detective stories and all of these things from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. For years, I've been listening to them because there is a cleanliness of writing that's required. You can't rely on special effects. You can't rely on physical comedy. You just have to tell the story with these multiple people and keep it moving along. And things have to go like this. And so when we decided to do the switch and go, okay, we're not going to do the summer show. And it was like, radio shows, yes. Finally, my years of wasting time pay off again. And so there's the thing is you're creating a play in somebody else's mind, with all of the special sound effects that Taylor comes up with, and the timing and stuff that Velina comes up with, and the music, all of that together with the characters, so that you're creating that they're in a car, or it's a creaking house, or they're walking down the street, or any of those things that allow the audience to participate in a way that they can't with regular plays and with films, because they are actively creating part of it. So that's an interesting challenge. All of this stuff for a theater company, not only are we not silent mimes, and we do physical comedy and visual comedy with our sets and our costumes and all of this stuff, and not having any of that, having to just rely on character and words, I think was a great stretch. You were saying the question about moments that stand out, and for me it was basically the same moment every 2 weeks, when we would read the script and people would go, oh, that's good, and I could go, oh. It's like, because it was like writing this form of comedy and trying to do this much stuff and only having 20 minutes to do it instead of an hour and a half, all of that, and just each time it was so tense. And then when people laughed or at least said they liked it, I could relax for one day until I had to start writing the next one. But and I'm sure for Ellen it was a lot of stuff, because Ellen, you listen to a lot of radio plays too.
I love radio plays. I've been lobbying forever. So for me, it was just like, at last, because it's so much fun to play with genres, which we already do. We tend to, when we write our shows, we usually tend to pick a genre and like run with it. So radio plays were great. And the idea of being able to do 4 different genres and then eventually have all these characters from these different worlds come together. And the thing that was really great this year was be able to do it in real time instead of just writing a show that opened on July 4th. And, we would make changes as, to fit it as it goes on. But this was in real time, in real historic moments. So it was very cathartic in a lot of ways too, because we're able to deal with these things as they were coming, but still in this kind of, fun genre, larger than life characterization thing that we love. The challenge is, like Michael said, doing physical theater and relying a lot on visual tricks was like, okay, and how do you keep that momentum going? So, but everybody did great. And also the idea of being able to work with people that are former troopers that don't live here anymore was just a gift,
And also new people.
That's something, we can't give up. So, I mean, that alone will keep it moving forward, because I think it's a great way to keep cross-pollinating, like whether it's with musicians that are on the other end of the continent or actors, where our announcer Amos, who was a trooper forever and hasn't lived here in a long time.
Yeah. Is there
But
anybody
also having like Cassie and Michael J and Jarion, the people who have never worked with us.
Right.
You got an opportunity, to bring people in that we'd wanted to work with in one way or another to reach not only new audiences, but also it's just invigorating to have folks that are new and are fans of the troupe, but here's a chance for us to work with them, which is great.
They didn't even have to do any heavy lifting.
I know.
I know, you got away clean.
Totally.
Like once.
Say, send this back to me. Put it in a different box and send it back, just so you get a little idea.
We can consider it an IOU.
Yeah, right.
Right. We'll get our share of the manual labor of building set. Oh yeah. Well, I'd love to hear from some of the folks, who are newer to working with the Mime Troupe, of like what was the experience like for you? How do you make decisions in your voice acting? How about we start with Michael J?
I really welcome the opportunity to work with them because I love what they do and what is being said by the troupe. So it felt like I was actually doing something that might make a difference. And that's not always the case when you're performing on stage or in a production or even in a show in the medium at all. So that was a benefit to me. Plus, I got to do voice work, which I love to do. I started my pursuit of acting to do voice work exclusively, and everything else kind of happened as a side benefit to that. So it addressed my first love of doing voice work. It addressed a second love of being a character like the Gravekeeper, which what a gift, Michael and Velina, for that. And I was so excited every time that we recorded an episode, and I was just trying to be consistent because being seasoned, there's so many things going through my brain. So I'm thinking I got the Gravekeeper, the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt. So that's one direction to go in. Michael suggested listening to some of the earlier radio plays, listen to those. Then I've got Vincent Price in my head. Then I've got Vincent Marshall, who played Blackula, for those who might remember. That's in my head. So it was so much fun. And it felt like it was something that we were doing something right. And that's just something that we don't get enough in trying to do this. So
I really appreciate your work as the Gravekeeper, because it really, when we're playing with genre, you really helped us establish that horror genre so strongly. And I think that's something I really admire about everybody's work this summer, is like, how can we get with those different genres? And your voice acting was such a gift for that.
And that wonderful laugh.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, a great laugh right there.
Dying to do that forever. Forever in debt to you, Michael, for that.
This is a Mime Troupe voicemail message.
Right.
Anytime.
Fantastic. And speaking of voices, how about Jarion? How did you get to that Chip Bonzo voice?
It was, I wanted to echo everything Michael has said. I totally agree and experience radio that way. But how I got to Chip Bonzo, well, we worked. Velina gave me a direction to go in, and I went in that direction. Voiceover was my first love, even as a 10-year-old kid, when my dad, as a Pan Am pilot, brought back one of the first reel-to-reel tape recorders, and I would go into the closet as a 10-year-old and, talk to myself in all different kinds of voices. So this has been just an utter joy and a dream come true, really. The movie of the mind is what radio is, and I'm hoping this will become a strong wing of the Mime Troupe, because it's such a rich medium that has been a bit neglected. I mean, we have podcasts now and that sort of thing, and audiobooks, but this fully produced, gorgeous panoply of 9 wonderful hours is magical.
So much.
It was really fun working with both of you. Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
I'd love to hear from Cassie, and then Velina, I'll jump to you to talk a little bit about directing and getting some of those choices from performers. Cassie, yeah, can you tell us a bit about your experience?
Yeah, this has been, my first time working with the Mime Troupe, but I've literally been a fan of the Mime Troupe since I was born. So it's been such an incredible time being able to work on these radio plays, because I've never done anything like it before. I normally do things on the stage, and so it was so fun and such a learning curve to try to figure out. And I was surrounded with such incredible performers and incredible people, and everyone guiding, like Velina, and it was just so much fun being in such a talented and excited and passionate group of people, because every time I was there, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I want to do better, and how can I improve, and the work is so important. And it was just such a fun, challenging time, but I always love listening to the episodes later on, and it's so wonderful how everything came together musically and with the sound effects. It was a wonderful experience. I loved it.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. We've loved having you as part of the show. It's been wonderful. Velina, yeah, tell us about what it's been like kind of working with actors' choices and how to direct. We were talking about all these moving parts and kind of this theater of the mind. How has it been shaping that?
Well, it's been really fun. I think the main thing that one of the things that there were just so many pieces of it that were really strong, like Michael's writing so strong and having an idea of where he's coming from as I'm directing. Marie's commercials, hilarious every time. She'd say, okay, what do you think? And I'm waiting for my car to get smogged and standing outside, because we're not inside, right? COVID. And I'm just standing on the street laughing, and people are like, what's with her? Because just hilarity. So really fun, good material to work with, really talented actors who can do all of these different things, and just having the opportunity to just kind of play and being able to say, can I have a take like this? Can we try it this way? And just I'm gathering different options so that when Taylor and I and Daniel are in the editing room, which is on Discord, I have some different options to choose from, and having actors who can take direction really well, so they can give me these different options and stuff. So that was really fun. I mean, I had to learn to just speak up with every idea, to just get them right there, because it's not something that's happening over time. you know, in the same way. It's like we have a couple of rehearsals and then we recorded, and then that's it. And so if I didn't get the take, then I don't have it, right, to work with. So I have to just learn to ask for everything in the session. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to, well, let me just watch and see how it evolves. It's like I had to, you know, say more specific things that I want in like one session. So that was something that felt different to me. But I was working with people who were really good and versatile and willing to play, and so it was super fun. And the other thing I want to say is that, like, with the thing that I said to you, Cassie, before, was that it was such a full circle experience for me and for Michael, because we've literally known Cassie since she was born. We were there, like, when she was brought home from the hospital. So, so then having her grow up into this wonderful actor that we got to work with was really fun too. So that was amazing. And finally, like, getting to work with Michael J in this way, and getting to work with Jarion in this way. And also Elizabeth Carter, we hadn't worked with before, and her son Milo, and all of that, you know, which was really cool. And then other people like Brian that has been around. But I did get to work with you when you were in Delesio. What kind of name is that?
What kind of and you'd never worked with Dylan.
And never worked with Dylan, and just fabulous, you know, all kinds of woodwinds and lots that bring so much expression to the moment. I mean, music really helps.
Yeah. And they had to do it so quickly.
So quickly.
I mean, whereas like I'm writing scripts, and then I've got the most time, and then after me it's Daniel would see it, and then Velina would see it, then the actors would see it, and then Dylan and Dredd would be like, oh, okay, this is what they're doing.
Yeah,
you know?
Incredible what they in beauty.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll
answer your question. That was long-winded, but I don't know if I answered your question.
No, it was really helpful. It's interesting for me to hear about all the many takes that kind of would have that you would get, so that you could have them as material for the audio editing and kind of seeing which way to go. And I'm curious, Brian, in your experience performing, like how many takes would you do of each scene as Primo?
For Primo, I think. Well, to be sure, we were like recording simultaneously with each other, but recording ourselves individually.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got, you know, we would do like a few big takes of the whole, you know, episode. I know sometimes I got in the habit, like I wouldn't when, you know, I wasn't speaking and I knew other people were talking for a while, I would keep myself muted on the group discussion, but I if I wasn't satisfied with my takes, I'd be like, you know, putting in little alternative takes on the microphone in between the silences. I hope you use some of them.
We did at times. Yeah.
Oh, good.
They were
Brian
helpful.
had a whole in one episode, one chunk where he had to he was having a conversation with himself.
Yeah, that was tough. That was tough.
Oh wow! What was that chunk?
Came out beautifully, but yeah, say
Father and son. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But yeah, I practiced on my own a little bit, and so and thankfully, like in rehearsal with each other, like either me and Michael would switch off for the pivotal scenes where we, you know, father and son were talking together. But I practiced a little on my own, and I think my last takes, I did them both characters in the same breath or same recording, and yeah, it was a challenge. Because I wanted to go higher and I wanted to be different, but then I just realized, like in the moments, like it was just for the sake of time, it was better that I went vocally lower and register with the dad than me, and it just, you know, that way I could switch easier.
It sounded great.
Yeah, really great. And I also wanted to bring up, you know, like it was really fun for me to get a chance to work with you, Marissa, in this way too, because I don't think we'd ever had a chance to work together and like acting wise, and it was really fun getting to see like the variety between Allie with a Y and Mama Terse, like that just really
Mama Terse.
Yeah, was really fun, and so it was great to have that opportunity to experience that, to bring that out as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It was the first time. I'm normally, during the summers, I'm the tour manager. So I'm away in my office doing all the work, and then I'll come down and like see the backyard preview and then go up in the office and do more work. And then I'll come to like opening day. So it was nice to really have more time, like in the room where it happens, and to be part of the whole process, because I don't normally get to be there for those rehearsals or anything. So this was definitely a treat for me too.
Speaking of getting everything to be in the room where it happens, I'm curious, Karen, our fearless stage manager, what was it like to get people to make sure people are in the same space to coordinate across this medium?
For the most part, way easier than getting them into the room at the right time. Physical room.
No traffic.
Right, no commute, and we had some challenges early on in getting people set up on Discord, or making sure they had a mic, making sure they had their mic plugged in correctly, making sure they were recording correctly, all that technical stuff. But between Taylor and a former trooper, Keith, we worked out those kinks, because I know nothing. So for me, it's probably my easiest summer ever. In that, I made a schedule.
So for right now, you do not want to see the picture you froze on. Okay.
I made a schedule, and we were going along a month into it. Okay, no, I got to redo the schedule because somebody else's schedule changed. Okay, may redo the schedule, and then go along. Oh wait, no, I got to redo the schedule again because we have to make sure Taylor gets some time off. And oh wait a minute, I have to redo the schedule again because there's not enough time to finish the 9 episodes. Because it's so but other than that, I mean, that's just paperwork. So and knowing everybody's life, which I do. The cameras are actually reversed, so I know what's going on in everybody's home. So I know their schedules pretty well, so I can manipulate stuff as I need to.
Oh my, it's actually kind of mirroring our science fiction episodes right there. That what you're describing. Our schedule is just like Playa does, like better than we know our own.
Your every need.
Thank you so much.
We know it ourselves.
Thank you so much for that, Karen, and for all your work this summer and fall. Amazing. Taylor, I want to get to speaking of like hard work and fearless labor. Taylor, I know you've done so much this summer and into the fall. And how does it feel to kind of be at the final episode of after having done sound for so much of it?
I mean, the first reaction is tired, but I don't know. It was an amazing experience, a difficult experience, but I was constantly learning. This was a whole new medium for me. I had done recordings and CDs of music and stuff like that before, but never anything like this. I think maybe almost 10 years ago, I worked on an audio book, and that was probably the closest thing. But even that doesn't compare to this, because there's so many voices, so many things happening at the same time, and just constantly learning new techniques, and grabbing new different plugins to make sounds sound a certain way, and then also just the experience of working with like Velina and Daniel, and Michael sometimes in our editing room, was a whole new thing. I mean, because basically we would be in there in voice chat, and I would share my audio from my station and share my screen so that everybody could see what was going on, and kind of just working through that, and trying not to tear each other's heads off while we're in these big long 10-hour editing sessions almost every day, but with love, obviously. But it was it was a new experience that I will keep growing on, because I want to keep doing this for sure.
Excellent. Yeah, I think it's amazing because there's such a long process. We're like, it's cool to see the project grow and to see we're getting skills like the whole course of the way. So it's thank you so much for that, and it's neat to hear about that. I want to ask Dylan, from a music standpoint, what was I know that you did kind of this Herculean effort the past few days, but what was it like to contribute to kind of the music that went through the whole series?
It was pretty rad, honestly. It was I had to learn a lot as far as like just learning the technology and stuff. I had a little bit of money saved up to buy, like basically a setup to throw my own shows, just like another PA and like a mixer and stuff. And then COVID happened, and I was like, you know what? I guess I'm gonna put that towards recording stuff, And learning all that stuff was really fun. And Taylor is an amazing resource for all that stuff. And so that was a big part of it. That like learning how to like listen to the music and play along with it was a thing. Like monitoring just like the volumes and stuff. And getting a good sound out of the microphone, like positioning was a big thing, especially with the clarinet. It's just like for some reason, it's really hard for me to just get a good like microphone sound out of it. I gotta say though, to your question way earlier about the most memorable moment, I had to like think about it for a second. But I gotta say, the one thing I was thinking about a lot was the Uber Alice commercial. It's like that's my favorite commercial, by the way, and it's just like it's so rad on so many levels. I've showed it to I have the recording on my phone just like ready to show people, because it's also funny to me that like that whole Clarence Clemens like Bruce Springsteen style is just it's not something I really grew up with. It's not really my cup of tea, and I've always thought it was a little cheesy, but like actually playing it, I got way into it, and I got like super into it, which was really funny, because I was like, at first I was like, no, man, this is like not what I want to do, and then I played that and I was like, I kind of want to do this again. I kind of want to play this style of like Clarence Clemens, like growling, really bright.
And you nailed it.
It was fun. Yeah, it was super fun. I had to do a little bit of research, but that was really fun. There's lots of other really awesome experiences we had too. Lots of funny moments too, up late recording stuff and hanging out with Daniel and Taylor, and yeah.
Every style and genre we threw at you, like maybe you didn't get it the first time, but by the end, you would nail it, and it was awesome hearing every week the progression of different music types we would just throw at you, and be like, yeah, he's got it. It's all good.
I'm like looking through my old mouthpieces. I was like, which one plays bright? Which one plays like this at the dust some of them off? But yeah.
And same for Dread, who's not here right now, but like all of the different things that Daniel came up with and Dread was able to bring life to those was just amazing. And I'm sure like, he's the same as everybody else. He's kind of just working from home and dealing with family, but he's making it happen and would just bring so much life to our music. It was amazing working with his music.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Scott is also a former performer with the Mime Troupe, as so was Liberty Ellman, who played some guitar, and my cousin Jeremy as well. So we really got to sort of unite the generations of Mime Troupe musicians on this one.
Well, thank
I just wanted to give another shout out to Taylor, because one of the things he had to deal with was the difference between people being in the studio recording and engineering it, as opposed to everybody with their janky setups at home, and having to make, because we would have to record onto one format and then deliver it on another, and he would have to take it and put it all together. And that was
Sound
one
like we were
extra
together.
element that he really.
Which, as the episodes go by, you can kind of tell I'm getting better and better at making it sound a certain way. Because the first couple of episodes, which maybe at some point we can go back and relook at, but it was definitely the whole way through of just like, oh my God, everybody's on a different microphone in a different room. how do I make them sound like they're talking to each other? Okay, let's give it a try. But
Well,
yeah.
Well, as folks were saying, like the sound of it sounding like everybody being in the same room, it's just like an incredible moment, and it's just like it's so needed in these times. So thank you for bringing all our voices, all our instruments, all our genres, our writing, all into the same space. So big thank you to Taylor. Thank you to our team of musicians. I want to talk, Dylan mentioned commercials a second ago, the Uber Alles commercial. And I'd love to ask Marie about the process of writing those commercials, because I found them hilarious.
Thank you. So when we were in the very early stages of developing this show, we were listening to a lot of radio plays, and I knew I wanted to write in some capacity. But at one point I was like, you know what we should do to like add to the radio play genre is have commercials. And then somehow that ended up with me writing like 20 commercials for 10 different episodes. And looking back on it, if you look at the sort of progression of the commercials, I think it was really my way of processing just everything that was that's happening in the world. And sort of as a way of expanding the world we built in the show, because it's very character focused show in a lot of ways. It follows these specific 4 characters and their people. And so it was a way of kind of building that out more. But also it was just a way of me being like, you know what's annoying? This. What would be a product that would fix this? And how would capitalism like ruin that so that it wouldn't actually fix it? Or like make it worse, or like address a problem that's not a real problem. So if you actually look at them at the beginning, there's a lot of kind of real products. Like it's more grounded at the beginning, and they got weirder and weirder as it went on. I think partially because, you know, of my unraveling mind in the quarantine, but also I think there's something like what Michael was saying about like turning in the script and being like, and people being like, oh, it's funny. And I'm being like, oh, thank God. I felt like that every time too, even though I had way less responsibility. Because I think it was like me. So I would sort of take different things as 2020 progressed. Like early on, I knew I wanted to do like a really silly girl moment thing with sort of like shallow, basic, superficial white girls like kind of processing the world in this sort of very consumerist way. So that's how I came up with the idea for the Ally app, and that was happening right as all the like Black Lives Matter protests were like really starting to heat up, and I think there was a lot of discussion of how to be an ally, and then there's a lot more people, I think, who were just really not wanting to look bad. They're like, no, I don't want to look bad, but I don't really actually know what stand to take here. So that's where like the idea for the Ally app came. And then like when the stud closed down and then they painted over it and painted it this taupe gray within 2 weeks of it closing down. Then I wrote Vandervoort's Veneers, which is the gentrifying paint company. And then it got weirder and weirder, like expat, the fleeing the country and then fleeing the orange sky when everything was like dark and apocalyptic. So you can really see, I think, like my interpretation of the world. And like some of them I really wasn't sure if anyone would get it. Like the one about nostalgia, feminism, and me, I was like, no one's gonna get this, and then it actually turned out really well. So yeah, it was really fun to get to like work with Velina on the like and watch her work, and like she's such a skilled director and she's so good at working with new material. Like I think a lot of the like OG mime troopers are really good at like working with new material. And so getting to see her work around that was really great. And then just getting to like bring in whatever actors I wanted was really fun as well.
Well, I I appreciated the nostalgia feminism in me one. I thought that was really brilliant, and I loved. I actually liked how kind of they built on each other and kind of tied together in the same way that the series did. Of okay, suddenly these hug me dolls, which are giving us human contact, they like started strangling people. It's just like the world just like starts going haywire because the world around us is going haywire. It was brilliant. And I think it's very unique, and something I think is so exciting about the forum and what y'all have done with Tales of the Resistance, that it's able to respond to the time, and that it's coming right before the elections, and just like seeing all of these moments, all of these threads come together right now just feels really strong, and I want to give like a big thank you for that. And in honor of all you've accomplished, if I know I asked some folks to bring a beverage of choice today, I would like you to make a toast to all of you. There we go. We got some drinks here, water bottles, anything you want.
Water in
to just to all of the hard work that you all have put in on these many, many months. And to the troop, to the resistance, and to hopefully overthrowing capitalism one musical radio play at a time. So,
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh.
And thanks to public libraries.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yes, public libraries.
And
Yeah.
thanks to Kari for running all
Yeah.
these
Pleasure.
Zoom meetings all summer long.
Karen's still freezing.
Yeah, Karen froze
In the
for a
most
second.
embarrassing poses.
Somebody grab a screenshot of that.
Yeah, really.
Really?
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I've been really glad to do this series with the library and with you all, and I've learned a ton. For folks who are just tuning in now, like check out all the past episodes. We've had some fantastic speakers, including several people on the call here. So on that note, I am going to go ahead and call on Michelle from San Francisco Public Library to go ahead and give us a little closing here.
Thanks, Kari. Indeed, I'm Michelle Jeffers with San Francisco Public Library. On behalf of the entire San Francisco Public Library system, I just want to thank you for joining us today, and all of you who've watched every other week for the last 18 weeks. And I'm talking to you, Dean, from Bethesda, Maryland, to listen and learn about the movements and activities behind the Tales of the Resistance radio series. You can check out the entire Tales of the Resistance radio series at sfmt.org. And you can listen to the tapes of our 9 behind-the-scenes discussions on SFPL's YouTube channel. Shout out to our behind-the-scenes tech team, the fantastic Fran Matthew, and many, many thanks to the San Francisco Mime Troupe for bringing this program to the library. I hope you're supporting your local arts organizations like the Mime Troupe by listening, attending, and donating. And of course, support your local libraries too by using your libraries. You know, read a book once in a while. And finally, get out and vote on Tuesday if you haven't already done so. In fact, you can drop off your ballot this weekend at 9 of our branch libraries. Look for a drop-off place at sfelections.sfgov.org. Thanks, everyone. Happy Halloween, and wear your masks every day, not just on Halloween. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. I'll give us some music to close out.